Hey, what's going on? I want to welcome everybody in April 23rd, 2020. As always, for those of you who have been with me since the beginning, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have no idea how much your support means to me. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. Thank you. Some of you have heard about this because of your friends. Some of you may have stumbled upon the advertisement I put up for Facebook. You're just checking this out for the first time. I hope that you'll find something tonight that you can grasp onto, and I hope you find encouragement. I want to appreciate everybody that's viewing this, whether it be now or later on during the week. Your time is valuable. I completely appreciate and understand that you can be doing anything else with your time, but you're choosing to spend a little bit of it right here, right now. So thank you. That means, again, I appreciate the love. Believe me. So tonight, I want to talk about belief. And before we go any further, I want everybody out there listening right now to sit back and ask themselves what they believe in. What do you believe in? If you look on my Facebook page, you'll notice that on my cover photo, the big photo at the top, that I have added 3 icons to the bottom of the pic. The cross, the flag, and the icon of a family. That's what I believe in. My faith, my freedom, and my family. Those are the 3 most important things in my life. And listen, when I say family, yes, I have an immediate family, but my family reaches far greater than that. I have people who follow me in Texas. God bless you, Mark. I have people who follow me all throughout PA, all throughout Ohio. I have people that God has put in my life for years. I have been blessed with so many friends. I have been blessed with acquaintances, people I've worked with, people I've served with. Listen, guys, if I served with you, you have no idea how much I love you. That's my family. The people that God has placed in my life, the people that have stuck with me through thick and thin, who have been there forever. You're my family, and I love you. My family, my freedom, and my faith. That's what I believe in. And we're going to talk tonight about belief and how much we're willing to stand up for what we believe in. Because I think that we have a big problem in America with belief. I have wondered for years, well, the last couple of years, what do we really believe in? What do you really believe in? That's why it's so important for you to just take a couple minutes and think, man, what's important to me? What do I stand for? Because that's going to be the theme for the rest of this message. The reason I feel that we have a belief system in this country is because people go out of their way to mask the truth. People go out of their way to hide what's really going on. Look no further than social media. How many times have you seen a picture of the mom, the dad, the husband and wife with their kids, and it's a great picture, professionally taken. Somewhere, the mom usually, never the man, writes something to the effect of, I love my family, I'm blessed, this has been an amazing life. Meanwhile, the husband's cheating on her. She's upstairs crying in her bedroom every night. The kids are always like, Mommy, why are you crying? That's the truth. when you see that, and you see it so much on social media, listen, we go out of our way to fake the funk on social media because we don't want people to see what's really going on. And we don't want people to know what we're dealing with. And that, in turn, causes disbelief across the board because people are so used to filters and pre-thought out Facebook posts that all it's doing is masking the truth. All that's doing is hiding the truth. So it's very hard for me to see what you truly believe in. Listen, if you believe in the family structure and you want your family to thrive, if that's what you believe in, then stop lying and start making that happen. Do what it takes to get your family to be what you believe it should be. Lying about it and putting fake stuff up is not going to help it. We have to get back to what we believe in. The reason why we're in trouble right now in this country, the reason why we're dealing with what we're dealing with is because a lack of belief. Can you believe the media? Not really. Some people do. Can you believe the government? It's hard. It's hard to find something you believe in now, right? Because everybody's just out in the wind pushing their own agendas. We got to get back to what we believe in. So you've asked yourself now, you've taken a couple seconds and you've said, man, I believe in this, I believe in that. But great. I believe in my family, I believe in my freedoms, and I believe in my faith. That's what I stand for. That's my beliefs. But what happens when those beliefs are attacked? What do you do when those beliefs are suddenly threatened? What happens when your belief needs to be stood up for? Are you going to stand up for it? Your belief, what you believe in, is only as strong as what you're willing to sacrifice. Think about that. Your belief, what you claim to stand for, I stand for this. It's only as strong as what you're willing to sacrifice for it. It's that simple. So we can sit here and we can get on social media and we can talk about what we believe in all day. But what happens when the crap hits the fan? What happens when you're actually backed into a corner? Are you going to really stand up for your belief? Or are you going to coward and back down and get ran over by whatever it is that's threatening your belief? I have pulled no punches in the last month talking about churches and preachers. I have not hidden my views on all these churches that are closed. I am sure that it is a very tough decision for pastors. I'm sure that a lot of preachers hated the fact that they closed their doors. But the truth is they didn't have to. They didn't have to. Because there's something called the United States Constitution, and there's something called the First Amendment that protects them. So I'm still, although some churches are opening, God bless you, I'm still confused as to why churches are closed. And I've talked to people, and I've talked to Christians, and you keep getting this. Christians and pastors love to say, well, We're supposed to obey the government. We're supposed to obey authority. We're supposed to respect government and authority. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the two scriptures you hear the most are Romans and 1 Peter. Okay? Paul tells us in Romans chapter 13, verse 1, every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. That's Paul. Peter, in his first book, chapter 2, 13 and 14, Peter tells us, submit yourselves to the Lord's sake to every human institution, whether to a king as the one in authority or to governors as sent by him. Submit, subject, respect, obey. Peter and Paul, 100%, completely agree with them. Pastors use that, churches use that, Christians use that. I get it. The beauty of those verses is to understand the beauty of government. Believe it or not, government is not meant to be a bad thing. The government and governing authorities are actually put in place by God to protect citizens, to protect our rights, to keep us from harm, to keep us from evil people, the people who want to steal from us, murder us, rob us. Government and governing authorities are actually there for good. Because if we didn't have government, if we didn't have laws, we would have anarchy. That's what you would have, anarchy. And thank God we don't have anarchy. But what happens when those when the government and those governing authorities turn evil? What happens when the government and the governing authorities start pushing their evil agendas on you? What happens when what you believe in and what you stand for is threatened by the government? And I think it's interesting that we always use these verses from Peter and Paul to defend why we're closed down right now, to defend why we don't do more, to defend why we just keep our mouth shut. Christians have this crazy notion, and I don't know when it started or how it happened, but so many Christians think that in the face of adversity, in the face of evil, that they're just supposed to lay down. Just lay down. It's maddening to me. It makes no sense to me. Peter and Paul are the central figures of those two verses. But let's talk about Peter and Paul a little deeper. Because Peter and Paul, no doubt, men of God. Peter and Paul were used by the Lord. Peter was chosen by Jesus to be a disciple. Peter was also told by Jesus, upon you, my church will be built on. Peter was used by God on the first day of Pentecost. Peter. Paul wrote half the New Testament. Paul was walking down a road one day and God struck him down and blinded him and said, hey dude, I'm God, you're not. This is what you're going to do for me. Paul. Peter was hard-headed, stubborn, a bull, and sometimes did foolish things. Paul went around throwing Christians in prison. God used both of them. And you know what I love about Peter and Paul more than anything? They stood up for what they believed in. You see, Peter and Paul spent time in prison. Remember those stories you heard in Bible school about how they were in prison and they trusted God and they had faith in God and God took care of them? Heck, Paul wrote a lot of the New Testament in prison. Why were Peter and Paul in prison? Why were Peter and Paul imprisoned? They were in prison because they preached about God. They were thrown in prison for preaching about God. Now, how do you get thrown in prison for preaching about God? Check this out. Because the authorities, the government, told them not to. The government and the authorities ordered them not to preach. And Peter and Paul, the same dudes that wrote these verses that we love to use when we're being oppressed, the same dudes defied government's orders and kept on preaching. Now, so many of you tell me the Bible is confusing. The Bible is contradictory. And when you hear something like this, I completely understand I get it. I get where you're coming from. But if you take a closer look at what's really going on here, you will find that the Bible is not contradictory. What happened with Peter and Paul is that their faith, their belief, what they believed in was greater than anything man told them. They believed and stood for what God was telling them so much that they were willing to go to prison for it. Listen, Peter and Paul wrote books of the Bible. Peter and Paul were not stupid. Peter and Paul understood the consequences of standing up for what they believed in. Are you willing to stand up for what you believe in? See, the problem we have in America with a belief system, the problem we have with believing in anything is that when you are forced to make a choice about your belief, there's conflict. Believing in something, truly believing in something, draws conflict. It brings adversity. It involves being uncomfortable. And if there's one thing we hate in today's society, we hate to be uncomfortable. We go out of our way to avoid controversy. We go out of our way to avoid adversity. Your belief, what you believe in, it only goes as far as what you're willing to sacrifice for it. And that is why I do this. That is why I have the word ministry attached to my page. I could go and talk for 30 to 40 minutes every week about anything going on in the world. I could get on here and talk about sports. I could get on here and just spew all kinds of different opinions out there. People do it all the time and they become famous for it. Whatever. God bless them. But I believe in my family, my freedom, and my faith. And I will stand up against oppression and tyranny for all three of those. And without my faith, without God, there is no family and there is no freedom. So yeah, I'm a Christian. My faith is that important to me. I will not stop talking about it. I'm still Walt. I still live my life. I still love baseball, and I still go to car shows, and I still look at women. I listen to rock music. Nothing's changed. But I will not be ashamed of my ministry. I will not be ashamed of my faith in God. Peter and Paul knew the consequences. Peter and Paul knew the risks they were taking. They understood that every time they went out and preached, every time they went and defied the orders of the governor, or the authorities, or the king, or whoever put the order out, they understood that that meant prison. Do you know what else they understood? They understood that the next time might not be prison. The next time might be death. Acts chapter 5, verse 27. When they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest questioned them. We strictly charged you not to teach in this name, yet here you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching. Peter, God bless him, you know what he says? We must obey God rather than men. Woo! You know what that does to the leaders? Look down at verse 33. Chapter 5, verse 33. When they heard this, they were enraged and wanted to kill them. Death was an ever-present reality to Peter and then to Paul. Did not care. They stood up for what they believed in. Listen, I'm not saying go start a riot. I am against violence. Violence is stupid to me. I'm not asking you to go down to the governor's house this weekend and act like a fool. But I am asking you, how far are you willing to go for what you believe in? Are you willing to go to prison for it? Are you willing to die for it? I am. I am. And that's why I have this ministry. And God can use me any way he sees fit. If God wants to give me a church, it'll stay open. If God wants to have me continue to do these videos, I'll continue to do these videos. If God wants me to go out and speak to different preachers and talk about these kind of things, I'll do it. If God wants me to shut up and stop doing this, I'll do it. Some of you won't like me. Some of you won't agree with me. Some of you will wonder why I yell. I yell because that's how much I believe in this. Listen, my values, the three most important things in my life right now are being attacked. So yes, I am upset and I am angry. Family, my friends, our ability to meet with each other, our ability to get together is being attacked. My freedom, my ability to choose whether or not I want to enter a store wearing whatever I want. Listen, I have the right as an American citizen not to put on a Halloween trick-or-treat show every time I go to a store. I do. I have that right. I choose not to look like a clown because of my faith, because I don't fear. That's being attacked. My freedoms are being attacked. My faith is being attacked, just like everyone else is out there. What are you willing to do for it? Again, Peter and Paul were peaceful men. They didn't go out and cause a ruckus. They didn't go out and start taking people out and murdering them. They went out and they did what they believed in. And when they got arrested, they peacefully walked into jail. And you know what happened when they were in jail? They preached to whoever would listen. Meanwhile, our churches are closed. And people are talking about this great awakening. All you hear now is about a great awakening, about a revival. You better check your belief systems first before you start talking about a great awakening and or a revival. I heard a pastor the other day, and he put it excellent. He said it perfectly. He said, if you don't want to see a revival happen, or if you aren't completely into a revival happening, then you really don't want it. You really don't want it. How can we have a revival? How can we talk about the Great Awakening when our churches are closed? How can you sit there and do a sermon about don't fear, don't fear, don't fear, while your doors are locked and you're preaching to nothing? Peter and Paul, they didn't care. Peter and Paul are examples. They stood up for what they believed in. They stood up for what they believed in regardless of the consequences. And I will do that however God asks me to. And I hope each and every one of you takes the next couple days, thinks about what you believe. Think about what it is that you stand for. And then ask yourself, how far am I willing to go for that? How far am I willing to go without acting like an idiot and not strapping 35 guns on your back? How far are you willing to go to stand up for what you believe in? You know, people get mad all the time about, well, look at those idiots out there with guns. What do they, well, guess what? It's their right. They're free to do that. They believe in their rights so much. They understand their rights. They understand what the law says. They go out there and do uncomfortable things. That's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable for a lot of people. But I can't knock them because they believe in it. The protesters recently, people were knocking them. They believe in what they believe in. They actually got up, went down to the courthouse, went down to the state house, went wherever, and stood up for what they believe in. God bless those people. What do you believe in? I love you. I thank every one of you guys for listening. I hope you've grasped onto something. I hope you have found some encouragement tonight to take your beliefs and hold fast to them. Listen to me. Your beliefs are instilled in you because they're meant to be. Hold fast to those beliefs. Do not be wavered. Jesus tells us this, and this is it. We're done. Matthew 10:22. Jesus tells us, you will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. The one who stands firm to the end will be saved. God bless all you guys. Stand firm. Good night.